welcome to On Deck with DeRo and Arch. I am Eric DeRosset alongside Darren Archer. Darren and I are just a couple of just average guys, just doing average things in our world, but we really enjoy sports and talking about those things and all levels, high school, college, and professional. And Darren, it's good to catch up with you and talk a little sports this week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it as I do every week.
Yeah, for sure. We are headlong into the Christmas season, so it seems like everything's busy. Personal life with those good things that take place with family and friends, and then you and I have day jobs, which seem to get busier around Christmas time too. So a lot of things going on right now, but tons of things to be thankful for, and so. We're excited to be with you folks tonight. And we'll mention this again before we get off the air, but our holiday best to all of you that keep up with On Deck here. And hope you and yours have a great holiday season. I'm going to start with, and Darren, I'm going to let you take this. I'll introduce it. Local sports, when I say local, in-state Missouri sports, Wash U out of the St. Louis area has had some tremendous soccer success in the past, and apparently that has carried on to this year.
It did. The Washington University Lady Bears soccer team are once again national champions in Division III women's soccer. So we would like to congratulate the University of Washington women's soccer team for bringing home another national championship. And we'd also like to throw a shout out to the St. Louis University men's soccer team for making it to the Final Four of the men's Division I soccer tournament. They lost to North Carolina State, basically in North Carolina State's backyard. Heck of a tough place to play when you're playing the home team within 5 miles of their campus.
Yeah.
So. Congratulations to both programs and all programs throughout the state that had postseason runs throughout the fall schedule.
Absolutely. Congratulations to those in-state schools. A lot of tradition. You and I have talked often about just the soccer tradition that seems to exist in that St. Louis greater metro area, and this year seems to have followed suit. So congratulations to those two programs on a great run this year. We're going to turn our attention to some Division I football. I'm going to start with Missouri State Bears. By the time this show is sent out, the Bears will have already played their bowl game. That bowl game actually takes place tomorrow night, Thursday night. So we're talking about it in advance, but by the time you hear this, viewers, it'll be over. But great run for Missouri State this year. An honor to be in a bowl, and they not only did they have to play well, but they had to jump through some logistical hoops as well. So it all came together. It seems like the players and the coaches and the athletic administration all did really good things to get them in this position. They play Arkansas State in the Xbox Bowl, I believe it's called, and that's going to take place in Frisco, Texas. The wrinkle in all this is their coach Ryan Beard actually left the program and took a job at Coastal Carolina just in the last week or so, maybe 10 days. So lots of transition for the Bears as they prepare for this. So I'm just going to throw all that your way. Just kind of give me some thoughts about the Bears and their season, and then sort of this in-between transition time that they're facing.
Yeah, what a great season for the Bears of Missouri State, and their jump headlong into the FBS. And as a reward for their hard work and success this season, they were awarded a bowl game, and we were certainly hoping they would be and had our fingers crossed, and that definitely came to fruition. But like any successful football program this time of year, if you've had any success at all, there's a good opportunity your coach may be moving on, as well as members of the coaching staff, and nothing's any different for Missouri State. I will say this: it says a lot for Missouri State in the process that they've gone through in building this, building their football program, and the fact that I don't really know the last time outside of maybe Bobby Petrino heading off to Texas A&M to be an offensive coordinator, that colleges have come knocking on Missouri State's coach's door to come coach for them. So hopefully they have a smooth transition. It'll be interesting to see the search process and how that moves forward. One interesting quote, and this kind of tells you the whole dynamics of college athletics at this point. I saw a quote from Ryan Beard that said, if a player of ours even puts their name in the transfer portal, they better find somewhere else to play because it's not going to be here. And as a result, he put his name somewhere else, and he's going to go play somewhere else, not at Missouri State. So I think that kind of gives you the in our small section of the state, a glimpse at college football as a whole.
Yeah.
The tumultuous atmosphere as far as if, hey, if you're successful as a college coach and you've got the chance to make a move that seems right for you and your family, you've got to do it. Because in the next year or two, they may be handing you your pink slip, and it's just a constant cycle with players and coaches. And I think that's part of the example of why the NCAA has relaxed their rules on transfer and NIL and things like that to the point where a lot of players were, they had the opinion that, hey, if our coach can leave at any point in time and go to a different school, then why can't we? And I think the NCAA really had a difficult time in answering that question. And as a result, I think we start seeing the situation that college football's in right now at every level.
Yeah, and I'm not going to open the Lane Kiffin can of worms. You and I have talked about that situation a lot. One of the things that sort of struck me was, and hey, we weren't on the inside of that, so I understand that was highly complicated. But just on the surface, one of the complaints was his lack of loyalty, to finishing what he started. But if he'd have been, instead of being 11-1, if he'd have been 1-11, that loyalty would not have been reciprocated. And so for me, just as an individual, that loyalty card, it just doesn't hold any water for me.
No, it doesn't play. It does not.
It doesn't, does it? No. And so, and yes, in my core, I want the players to be loyal to the program, and I want the coach, like I want it to be like it used to be, quote unquote, but it's just not. And so coaches don't stick and players don't stick. But this double jeopardy thing that the coaches are living in right now, just like Kiffin puts out a really good product, but then he's scrutinized for not being loyal to the program. But hey, they'd have fired him in a minute if he'd gone, 4-7 or whatever. So it's tough. It's a really interesting time, and you're right. It's just moving parts, players and coaches, even coordinators at this point. I mean, it's just moving parts. I'm with you. I mean, if the coach has got an offer, they got to go chase it. I mean, if it fits for their family and the finances are there, like, you just got to go. I mean, that's my opinion. So
agreed.
And Ryan Beard followed suit.
Sure.
We don't know those
and rightfully
figures.
so. Rightfully so. And I think that's the thing that people, I guess, as far as coaching at any level, can be tough. And the standpoint that, I had a coach tell me one time, you may have a good, but you want to quit them before they quit you. And I think there's a lot of truth to that statement. And I think especially at the collegiate level where there's so much money and, the revenue that's brought into universities, the amount that they're paying some of these coaches, you better quit them before they quit you, because they'll quit you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this is a professional football is as cutthroat as
Oh yeah,
anything out there. Like even non-sports, like professional football is cutthroat. But I think that collegiate football has surpassed what professional football is. Like the scrutiny there with just one loss at the college level. Like if you just lose to the wrong team one time, like there you may be walking out of the door on Sunday morning.
absolutely.
And hey, there's a quick hook at the professional level too, but I don't feel like it's that quick. I
And
feel like
DeRo,
there's a little.
here's the difference. And I think I heard Nick Saban talking about this. Um, at the professional level, teams have to wait until after the season is over before they talk to a prospective coach, and they also have to have permission from the owners to be able to talk to that person. It's the wild, wild west in
Oh
college.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you know, you think about it, the NCAA Division One basketball level. Your team makes it into the field of 68. Okay, the NCAA tournament for Division One. Could you imagine some of the movement that goes on after the completion of that NCAA tournament if that were to take place prior to? I
it's
mean, that to me
nuts.
is mind-boggling. And you
It
take
is
that to
nuts.
football. I just there's got to be a better way to rein in what's happening, especially on the football side, and you get rid of a lot of these situations uh, that coaches find themselves in now. Um, Lane Kiffin, for example, you know,
Yeah,
I'm sure that was not an easy decision, but at the
no.
end of the day, it was the best decision for him and his family. He pulled the trigger. I mean, hats off to you, buddy. Good luck at
Yeah,
LSU, and go win a natty. That's all you can
yeah.
say.
And hey, he's always been marketable as a coach, but there's not one time in his career where he was more marketable than he was
Oh
this
yeah,
fall. Like he was more
absolutely.
marketable than he ever has been, and probably he ever will be. Like
And
that he,
I know this is on your docket, but this may hit a little close to home here in the very near future with Coach Drinkwitz.
yes,
And the rumors are he's on the short list for the Michigan job.
wow,
And you know, hey, if you're Eli Drinkwitz, do you stay and try to finish off what you built to this point, or do you head to the big house and all the money at Michigan and
yeah,
have a legit
right,
program that you don't have to get over the hump? It's there. You just got to go get the dudes, spend the money to
yeah.
be able to be in contention for a national championship. So
And again,
you know,
we're supportive of him and his mission. So I'm going to say that before I say this statement.
absolutely.
But he signed a contract extension in which the vibe was, hey, I'm a Missouri guy, like this is who I want to be. This is what I want, and the university has treated me well, rewarded me, and hey, we're good, right? And that's the message. But
Until Michigan comes calling.
that's what I'm saying, right? And hey, I don't fault him for that. Like I'm not
No,
being
not at
critical of
all.
him,
Not at all.
but
I
like
mean, yeah,
you understand what I'm saying with that.
absolutely.
It's yeah. So
Absolutely.
interesting times.
Yeah.
I will say this: good luck to Coach Beard, and
Yeah.
as he climbs the ladder or whatever you want to call it, it makes his next moves. He did great things for MSU.
Absolutely.
Apparently, the results speak for themselves. So, and by all accounts, is a great family man and kind of has all the pieces. So, good luck to him as he moves on. Um, University of Missouri, Mizzou Tiger football. They are in the Gator Bowl, which will be played in Jacksonville, Florida. They will play the University of Virginia. University of Virginia is they were 10-3 this year. I'm going to go just slip back real quick to the Missouri Arkansas State bowl game. I saw today where Arkansas State is actually favored by a point and a half in that game. Arkansas hails out of the Sun Belt Conference. So by all accounts, on paper at least, a very even matchup for both sides. So could have the makings of a really good game there. Back to Mizzou. They're playing University of Virginia. Virginia was 10-3 this year. Mizzou was 8-4. I think everybody would agree that the SEC is a tougher road in terms of level of competition that Mizzou had to play versus what Virginia had to play. A couple interesting facts. University of Virginia actually opened their season with Coastal Carolina. So where the place where Ryan Beard is going to go coach. Game one of the season, University of Virginia won that game 48-7 over Coastal Carolina. So those things aren't necessarily tied together, but in a roundabout way, it comes full circle. On to Virginia. They played 3 overtime games in the regular conference schedule. 3 overtime games and won them all 3. Not sure. They may have been 3 weeks in succession. I'm not sure on that. But they beat Florida State, Louisville, and North Carolina, all in overtime games. Then fast forward to the ACC championship versus Bill Belichick's Duke, versus Duke. Had Duke and Carolina mixed up there.
Yeah.
They lost to Duke in the ACC championship in overtime. So they have played 4 overtime games within their conference this year and went 3-1. So my point with all that is, if this is a close game at the end, you got to feel like Virginia could hold an advantage for sort of being there, done that.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing: the one that they needed to win, they didn't, because if they beat Duke in that overtime game, they're in the playoffs right now.
Right.
As a result, they're not in. Notre Dame's not in. And it kind of created a tough situation to where the committee basically didn't have a choice but to put Tulane in and James Madison in. So, that one overtime game really changed the whole trajectory and potential seeds for the playoff system and that playoff format. That game had huge implications, not just to Virginia, but Notre Dame, James Madison, Tulane, and other teams that were on the bubble as well.
Yeah, huge domino effect as a result of that game, for sure. So Mizzou is favored by 6.5 in that game. I don't know Virginia well enough to know necessarily if that seems appropriate or not, but it does appear that Mizzou is a touchdown favorite, basically, over Virginia in that bowl game. Haven't heard a lot of rumblings about Mizzou guys that are opting to set out and those kind of things. I think that news will start to trickle down a little bit.
It started to this afternoon. They have
Gotcha.
2 wide receivers that have declared for the transfer portal. They've got a third that decided he's not going to play any longer, or actually, I think he ran out of eligibility. Found out that he ran out of eligibility, and then they've got a couple more that are hurt. So their wide receiving core is going to be very thin heading into that bowl game.
Well, and hey, those factors affect both teams. Every school that's participating in a bowl has to answer those questions. It changes. You and I have talked about that. Changes the whole landscape of the bowl situation from game to game. So it will be interesting to see. Mizzou and Virginia, if they're coming with all their weapons or if they're having to adjust on the fly. I like Mizzou in this one. Just don't know much, but I feel like they have a chance to handle this one. Their running game is just pretty good. So I think they'll be able to run the ball and control the field, and defense makes enough plays to win it. So that's the hope anyway. Anyway, that's kind of the Division I football wrap-up pertaining to the Missouri State Bears and Mizzou Tigers. I'm going to take us to break with that. When we come back, we will dive really deep into NFL football. I've got a little tidbit stat that I'll give right before we get into that. And viewers, make sure you come back, because I'm going to officially hire Darren Archer as the fictitious GM of the Kansas City Chiefs for this winter. And I'm going to ask Darren to make some decisions about the Chiefs on how he sees maybe the remake or the remodel of the Chiefs, or even if he thinks they need that. So, with all that being said, you do want to come back and listen to Darren Archer be on the hot seat making decisions for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, if you would stay tuned and check out these commercial break and our sponsors that help us keep this show going. So, thanks for joining us in segment 1. We will be back with segment 2 in just a couple of minutes.
Any given Saturday. And a little work. And a little play.
Hey, little help?
And a truck that says no to nothing.
Hi, Dad. Can I give them a ride?
Yeah.
The Silverado Trail Boss and Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Leaders know there's no guide to greatness. When everyone else says something can't be done, they know it only hasn't been done yet. True leaders weather the fiercest storms and look deep within themselves to rise above and help others find their way forward. At Great Southern Bank, we're proud to partner with visionaries that help raise the tide for all of us. And when you're ready to bring your vision to life, we'll be right behind you with award-winning support.
And welcome back to part 2 of DeRo and Arch with our show that we call On Deck with DeRo and Arch. Glad to have you. We spent a lot of time in the first segment talking about Division I football, and specifically Mizzou Tigers, Missouri State Bears. So if you get a chance, go back and check that out if you missed it in our first segment. I'm going to throw a little fact at you here before we dive into some NFL news. This one revolves around collegiate basketball. Pete Maravich, the great legendary Pete Maravich, played college basketball at LSU. In his college career, he played in 83 games there, played 3 years, and scored 3,667 points in his career. And that's filling it up. I didn't do the average on that, but that's filling it up. Okay. 3,667 in 83 games. If you were to take the top 83 single game scoring performances in all of Division I basketball over the last 3 years, and you added those up, so every highest score, the top 83 individual highest scores over the last 3 years, and you added those together, Maravich would still have 22 points more than what those top 83 performances combined to be.
Before
And
the 3-point line.
yeah, that was the point I was going to make.
Holy cow.
No 3-point line.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You and I, every once in a while, will mention sort of records that will stand the test of time and not be broken. That's pretty good.
Pretty safe to say. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
safe to
yeah.
say that one's in safe keeping.
Yeah, I don't see anybody scoring 3,600 plus points in 83 games in this day and age. So Pete Maravich, obviously gone too soon in terms of his life here on earth, but his impact on basketball. And this generation doesn't quite understand it, but you and I grew up in a generation where you did Pete Maravich ball handling drills at basketball camp and those kind of things. So Pete Maravich is a legend, really great player and innovator in terms of what he did with the basketball. So just thought I'd throw that out there. R.I.P. Pete Maravich, but he was great for the game for sure. So moving on to NFL football. Before I dive in to sort of the day-to-day football and what this Sunday looks like in the playoffs, I have decided, because I have this power, that I'm going to make Darren Archer the GM for the Kansas City Chiefs for this winter. Okay, so you guys get a chance to hear the very first interview with the new GM of the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, now I am
And
not
the
poking
last.
the last, yeah. And Chiefs fans, I am not criticizing the existing GM. This is just we're just throwing this out here. So anyway, Darren Archer, GM, thanks for being on our show right here.
You bet. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I bet you do. We're going to talk about the Chiefs. I'm going to ask you some questions. I understand, these could be delicate, right? I mean, some of these questions are really hard, and you may have to play the political game a little bit here. I understand that in your role of GM, you got to be careful what you say. But I'm going to put you on the spot.
I've got broad shoulders.
Fire I love it. I love it. Well, I'm just going to come right at you then.
Okay.
All right. The first issue is, I'm assuming that the Chiefs have no interest in getting rid of Andy Reid. He's in everybody's estimation, he's a legit NFL coach and has led the Chiefs to this point. There's no indication that the Chiefs would have a reason to get rid of him.
No. Andy Reid lives on his terms, and we'll support those terms regardless. I think he's earned that and deserves that. And I'd say Andy Reid is here as long as he wants to be.
Very good. In terms of, I think the Patrick Mahomes knee injury sort of perhaps made it easier to consider a revamp, maybe a retooling, a remodel, whatever terminology you want to use. So with that being said, as you look at the Chiefs offense, like, what do you think that looks like in the offseason here as you sort of piece together offensive pieces for the 2026 season?
Well, I think it starts with the offensive line. Kansas City's had a lot of injuries to the offensive line this year. I think there needs to be depth, and I think you've got to try to draft over what you currently have. I think that was a glaring weakness of the team this year, and I think that's something that moving forward and I'm talking as Darren Archer, non-GM now, but they're going to have to shore that up quite a bit. The running game, they need to go get a good, solid, professional running back that can take the hits, can get the carries, and revamp that section of their offensive scheme. I felt like at times that was something that was missing, and it was also an area that teams that were scheming against them could kind of take out of the equation to really focus in on receivers, Patrick Mahomes. I think those are the two biggest areas. Honestly, if I'm Kansas City, I'm not winning another game this year.
Yeah.
The fans are not going to like to hear that. But
Great
you're going
point,
to get as far up that draft board as you possibly can right now, because that first selection could be a difference maker. And I think, honestly, it starts with the offensive side of the ball. They just really struggled putting the ball in pay dirt. And I mean, I'm afraid, I hate to say this, but I'm afraid Harrison Butker's run his course. Like I said, I think there's a lot of holes in that offense, and it starts with the offensive line. But there are also some skill position players that they need to be drafted over. And I think it starts on that side of the football. As far as I'm fictitious GM, that's where I'm honing in on.
Love it. So this could be connected. So the question would be, do they have enough in the wide receiver area? Do they have enough downfield threats as it exists and stands now? Or my question would be: was the offensive line, was that such a concern that the guys that could have been downfield threats weren't allowed to be? Do you think those guys are good enough if the line is good enough, or do they need
Oh,
to upgrade there?
I think you can always upgrade, but I do think that depth is there as long as they can stay healthy and out of
Yeah.
trouble. That's the big thing. Health wise, you can't control that. Injuries are going
Right.
to happen, but you can't control what you're doing in the summer. Off season. So that's probably a whole other episode right there. But I think the biggest thing is Mahomes didn't have that time. It just seems like he would never really got comfortable
No.
being in the pocket, and even when they tried to roll him out, some,
Yeah.
I just think that opposing defenses knew that he was going to air it out somewhere somehow,
Yeah.
and it was a lot easier to play against.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the defense, let's switch sides of the ball here. Coach Spags, Steve Spagnuolo, at least on the outside looking in, phenomenal job with the defense. I mean, just year in and year out, super creative, in my opinion, does the most with his personnel, and those pieces kind of ebb and flow, and he somehow pulls it all together. If Coach Reed were to step aside and they brought a new head coach in, would you, as the GM, give total freedom for that coach to bring in a new D coordinator, or would you fight for Spags to stay in that position and really have serious talks with the new coach about retaining Spags?
I think the players are going to demand that Spags at least has a look as the head coach, and he's been a head coach before.
He has, yes.
But I do. I think there's enough loyalty there, and that's such a tight knit organization that I think he would be given a serious look. Now, obviously, you've got to go with the best person that's for your personnel. They're going to put your players in a position to win, and that's another thing that's awfully tough with the NFL. You just never know. There could be a highly successful coach that's been out for the last couple of years that may decide he wants to get back in it. There's been some talk of some highly successful coaches that have been with their current organization for, well over a decade, that may be shown the door, that have had a lot of success in the past, including Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
Do you give somebody like that that's proven and, been through the ringer and understand it? So there's a lot of different directions they can go. I think the biggest thing is finding a solid backup for Patrick Mahomes early in the year.
Yeah.
While he's out now, it's my understanding he's probably out till October. Late August through September, those games are going to matter. You can't
win
win
up to 6 games probably or so before he's back. I mean,
you can't win yourself into the playoffs at that point, but you can sure
get out of it.
Way out of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see. I think Andy Reid's going to see it through. I really do. Just with the amount of injuries, and I feel like they were in panic mode all year this year.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And you think about a lot of the games, gosh, they were losing 13-20 or 13-17 or something like that. Tells me the defense is doing their job.
Yeah,
you have to really study what's going on the offensive end, and for me, it starts with the offensive line. Then I think you got to go get a good running back, a premier running back that can throw the team on his shoulders at times. And so Patrick Mahomes, when he gets back, doesn't have to do that immediately after coming off major knee surgery.
Yeah. You and I this is completely off the cuff. We didn't talk about this before we got on air. Let's say Andy Reid steps aside on his own.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 names. This is just Darren Archer talking now, not Darren Archer, the GM. We're going to divide this out. I'm going to give you two names. Would you, as an individual, consider either one of these for the head job? Okay. Two names. First one is Nick Saban.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He's not going to do it, but yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know what your response would be.
Yeah, no, I would. Absolutely.
That's cool.
You know, I think when his professional career didn't quite pan out the way he wanted it to, but I think he was in a bad situation down at Miami. You know, that just wasn't ideal for anybody to, you know, good Lord himself couldn't have gone down there and won at Miami when he was down there. So you know, that would, definitely, I'd take a shot at him. Absolutely.
The second one is Bill Belichick.
No. No. And I think some of his luster has tarnished this year. I think that's the best way to put it. Right. You know, when you've got good players, and don't get me wrong, he didn't back into 6, 7 you know, NFL titles, championships, Super Bowl titles by accident. He knew what he was doing.
For sure.
But I think for him now there's too many distractions. I think his sole focus is to get his son set up with something. I honestly, I think that's, you know, he got a payday, but I also think he's trying to set his son up for that jump. And unfortunately, right now, or maybe fortunately for North Carolina, it's not going to end up that way. So, no, I like I said, there's a lot of off the field distractions taking place with him that become on the field distractions with his 27, 28-year-old girlfriend.
Right.
You know, so hard pass.
No, love it.
We're not to hold them or fold them. Fold them.
Fold them. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, thanks for your interview there, GM Archer. I appreciate your time on that.
You bet.
Some great insight.
I am going to gracefully resign my position and go back to being a basketball coach.
There, love it. Love it. Going to look at some some divisions, ranking standings in the NFL, and sort of tie that in with some playoff things that are looming. NFC, I'm going to start there. The AFC East is Patriots and Bills. You and I were talking off air. You and I have said sort of publicly on this show that the Bills sort of scared us in terms of if we had to rely on them to advance a long ways. We felt like their defense has been up and down enough that we would be maybe hesitant to do that. But I am going to say this for the record. Josh Allen is really good at football. Like, he puts teams on his back, and he is a leader among men, right? Like, he is really, really good. And hey, Chiefs fans are just gonna blast me on this one, but it's kind of Tom Brady-esque. I mean, he doesn't have the championships that Brady had, but he's got that demeanor. Patriots, Bills, if you had to pick one right now to win the division and advance the furthest in the playoffs, like, who do you think it'd be?
I think Patriots. And here's my reason why I'd say the loss that they had to the Bills this past weekend probably ends up being a good, quote unquote, loss for them, especially if they have a chance to meet the playoffs, which it's almost like they're on a collision course. I mean, if we're calling a spade, that could be to see who goes to the Super Bowl in reality. And I'd still have to give the edge to New England.
Okay. AFC North right now is Steelers and Ravens. Neither one of them are running away with it. and whichever one doesn't win the division probably doesn't get in the playoffs. I guess if I had to lean one way right now, I might lean towards the Steelers a little bit. You have a preference there, a leaning there, either way?
I think Baltimore's success is going to go how far their offense can take them.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's success is going to go how far their defense can take it.
In terms of the Steelers Ravens, like neither one of them, in my opinion, win their first game. Now, we all know it changes. Playoffs come, everybody's 0-0, and cold weather effects, and both Baltimore and the Steelers, they know how to play in the cold. So like there's some things like that, but just on paper, I have trouble believing that either one of them could win their first round matchup. It would have to be a special situation, I think, in terms of those. The AFC South is the one that you and I have talked about lately a little more, and it's super intriguing. Jaguars 10-4, Texans 9-5, Colts 8-6. Now Colts obviously lost their quarterback, and they brought in a guy that's just a little younger than you and I, and he actually he held his own and did okay, but it feels like the Colts ship is sinking maybe a little bit, maybe a 2-horse race in the South there, but Jacksonville and Texans both seem for real.
Yeah, I think they are. Jacksonville's offense is multidimensional. They can put some points up on the board. And, of course, Houston with their defense, that may be one of the better defenses in the NFL right now. I mean, they are really, really good. And in my opinion, that's what wins Super Bowl titles. That's what gets you to the Super Bowl when push comes to shove.
Texans are they good enough to beat somebody in the cold? Hey, Buffalo's still hanging out there. New England's hanging out. Pittsburgh, possibly. Are they good enough to go win somewhere on the road in cold?
Well, I think they'd sure like that opportunity. That remains to be seen, but that's all you can ask for is that shot. And hey, throw it up and let's go play.
Yeah, for sure. AFC West. This is a conversation we didn't think we would have had 3 or 4 months ago, but Broncos lead the division at 12-2, and the Chargers are 10-4. The other people in the division aren't getting in the playoffs. So obviously a different tweak on this division. Broncos playing well, seem to have the answers at the right time. You and I had concerns early on that maybe they were winning on their last drive a little too often, that was occurring, too frequently, and that it would eventually get them. It sort of feels like they're turning the corner a little bit and starting to win a little more convincingly. Is that the way you see that?
No, I agree completely. And, the Christmas night game that we thought was going to be so important back in September, becomes an also run, for Denver. I mean, all they have to do is show up, take care of business. And it sounds like the weather's going to be pretty mild, so that's not going to factor in. So I kind of like where Denver is right now.
Yeah. Chargers 10-4, but I mean, in my opinion, there's several teams that are above them, maybe in the on deck power rankings. Let's put it that way. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And they're dealing with some injuries to some key players right now that could end up biting them down the stretch. Yeah,
for sure. Going to switch to the NFC here. Eagles 9-5. By all appearances, they're going to win their division. However, they aren't dominant. Running game isn't what it was last year with Saquon, and just a different vibe with that team. So it will be interesting to see if they sort of amp up and turn the corner a little bit for the playoff run. But right now, they seem beatable by all accounts. So be interesting to see how they respond come playoff time. NFC North, Bears 10-4, Green Bay 9-4, Lions 8-6. Okay. Interesting matchup coming up this week. I'm going to touch more on that later with you, but the Bears Packers have an interesting matchup that has some crazy playoff implications. So we'll get there here in a little bit. NFC West, probably the quietest, best division in football, perhaps. And I know most of it is we're Midwesterners, and if it's on the West Coast, we kind of lose track. We don't keep up as well, or maybe that's just me. But I don't have a tendency to follow those teams as closely. But Rams are 11-3, Seahawks are 11-3, 49ers are 10-4. Again, might be the deepest, most talented division in football.
And who would have thunk it?
Yeah,
that's Seattle, especially.
Yeah, for sure. And 10-4 isn't underachieving, but like for the 49ers, but it doesn't seem like they've been their best at any point, this year, and they're still 10-4. So if all the pieces do come together and Purdy stays healthy and all those things, hey, 10-4 while struggling to put it together, what's that turn into when everybody's back? So that really interesting division there, and the playoffs will be obviously those teams are interdivision rivals, but they're going to end up playing head-to-head earlier rather than later if they stay in it. So there'll be some really good matchups there. Just a few stats before I talk about some specific matchups on our Hold'em Fold'em sequence here. Colts, we mentioned them earlier. They have as of today, they have a 13% chance of making the playoffs. So not real favorable there. As of today, the Ravens have a 40% chance of making the playoffs. And after their start, to think that they have a 40% chance, they would have taken that based on where they were at about week 5 or 6. So they've bounced back and sort of put themselves in a position to maybe have a shot. Maybe the most surprising one to me is the Lions. Statistically, they have a 38% chance of making the playoffs.
That's shocking.
Didn't see that one coming.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
So that'll be interesting. So I'm going to turn all that to our Hold'em and Fold'em segment of the show, and all of these are NFL related. So that's why I've spent some heavy time here initially on the setup.
Well, I have been a GM, so that shouldn't be too tough.
Well, I think you'll just knock these out right here. This should be easy for you. Hold'em Fold'em. This is a segment we do every week where I give Coach Archer a few scenarios, and he has to decide whether he's going to hold them or fold them in the scenario that I present to him. This has been a fun segment of our show, so we've really grown to like this, and I've tried to get creative. This one's straight NFL this week. The first 4 are going to be this week's matchups, NFL matchups.
Okay.
And head-to-head. And you're just going to decide who you're going to hold and who you're going to fold on. The first one, and some of these have some implications that I'll speak to. The first one is just based on matchup only. Not talking about playoff implications or anything along those lines. It is the Rams versus the Seahawks. Both of those teams are really good. They're 11-3, heavyweight matchup. Rams, Seahawks. Who are you going to hold? Who are you going to fold?
I'm going to hold with the Rams.
Yeah.
I just like the way they're playing right now. Matthew Stafford's having a MVP. A lot of people talking about Josh Allen.
Right.
Matthew Stafford's having a MVP type year. And
Yes.
I think a lot of people east of the Mississippi are going to be a little shocked if Josh Allen's not named the MVP, but people out towards the West Coast will certainly understand why Stafford would be part of that conversation.
For sure. And hey, he's got some dudes around him, right?
Yes,
I mean,
he
some
does.
dudes. Like
Yes.
playmaker. Everywhere you look, there's a guy that can just do something phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, really like the Rams and that offense a lot.
Yes.
So I'm with you. I'm going to hold the Rams and fold the Seahawks this week. Playoff wise, though, Seahawks present some issues for people.
Oh,
So yeah,
definitely.
very cool for them. One of those that we didn't see coming for sure. So anyway, be fun to watch that game. The next game that I've chosen is, and this one has huge playoff implications. It is the Packers and Bears. Okay, this is like one for the ages. This is one of those etched in stone. Uh, Go back 50 years, 70 years, and this game has always meant something. And this year is no exception. Bears are 10-4. Ironically, if they lose this game to the Packers, even though the Bears are in first place over the Packers right now, if the Bears lose, their chances of making the playoffs drop to 59%. Now, I'm not very smart. Okay, we all know that, but that math is astounding that their chances drop that low.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you talk about some pressure. Like Bears got to show up this week.
Yeah. And I think they will. I'm going to go hold them with the Bears. I think momentum's on their side. I'm just not sold on Love, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, being able to take that team to the next level. If they throw the team on Josh Jacobs' back, I can see that, especially when the weather starts getting colder. Shoot, let that boy eat and let him just 5 yards in a cloud of dust or pile of snow, whatever it'll be at that point in time. So,
so I too, I'm going to hold the Bears and fold on the Packers, kind of for the same reason. I'm just not super sold on his ability to just go win one when they need one at the quarterback spot. So, and hey, maybe he does it and proves us all wrong. But I just kind of like the Bears in this one.
Yeah.
Next NFL game. This one, again, no playoff implications per se, or not huge ones. It's just just a cool matchup based on where they came from. This one is Jacksonville and the Broncos. We would not have, we never dreamed we'd have been talking about this matchup 3 or 4 months ago, but both of those teams have great records. They're positioning themselves really well playoff wise. Two pretty good teams, but kind of on the upstart in terms of their shelf life. Who are you going to hold? Who are you going to fold here? I believe it's in Denver. I believe.
Okay. Well, that's a tough one.
It's a good game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that could be a multifaceted type battle, on both sides of football, both teams, both ways. I'm going to go with Denver. I'm a little hesitant to say that. I'm going to hold them on Denver, just from the standpoint that I think they're playing with a lot of momentum right now. And I think that has a lot to do, they're fairly healthy. That has a huge part of it this time. It is a huge part of this time of year. And just momentum. You kind of get your mojo and get a little confidence. And I think Denver's finally found that a bit. And I think I'm holding them on Denver.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I just sort of like Denver's evolution here over the last 3 or 4 weeks in the way they're winning games. Like they were winning all along, but now I'm kind of like, wow, they're winning it. And kind of, I don't want to say dominating, but they're just outright winning games a little bit now. And so I'm with you. I'm going to hold Denver and fold on Jacksonville. Cool Jacksonville story though.
Absolutely.
They've really done great things. So the last one, I believe this is the Monday night game. I'm not sure, but I think so. Patriots, Ravens. Okay. Ravens, if they lose, their playoff chances drop to 27%. So they are essentially playing to stay in. Both of these teams are kind of pride themselves on hard-nosed, rugged sort of grinded out type football. Patriots on the whole body of work have been better more of the time than the Ravens have this year, but Ravens still know how to win, and they can do it in spurts. So Patriots, Ravens, who you holding and who you folding?
I'm going to have to hold on the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think they've been too good this year on both sides of the ball. Drake May's had an incredible year. Also another one that could be in the MVP type conversations. Although after last week playing against Josh Allen, that may have blown him out of the water.
Yeah.
I just kind of like where New England is at. I think last weekend's loss to the Bills and the way that they lost it by being up 21-0 at one point in time, maybe, or is quite a bit, end up getting beat. I think that may be the wake-up call that jumpstarts their postseason run.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm holding on the Patriots. I just think they've been the model of NFL consistency this year. I mean, they are game in and game out. They just stick to who they are, and they really don't get outside of that. And you and I in the coaching world, we sort of hear this all the time. But do you worry about you or do you worry about who you're playing? And it sort of has the feel that the Patriots, they just worry about them and what's their identity. How do they grow that? How do they get better? They stick to their guns, and I just love their consistency. And I think they're pretty good. I think they're trouble in the playoffs for people for that reason, right? They're just going to make you work really hard for everything, and if you screw up a time or two, they're going to get you.
They're going to make you pay for it. It's kind of the persona of Mike Vrabel, their head coach.
Yeah.
I just think they kind of, they take his work ethic and mindset and just say, hey, here's what we're going to do. You try to stop us.
Yeah.
Good to you.
Yeah. And hey, that's you and I would say, like, if we were just talking about coaching, we would like to say that that's the kind of coaches we are. We're just going to make our teams the best they can be, and we're going to stick with it. But that's hard to do. Like
it is.
That is hard to do because all those other things start to creep in your game plan, and you get so obsessed with what everybody else is going to do that you sort of lose your focus on what you're going to do.
Exactly.
But I think Coach Vrabel is like, he's a guy that's we're just going to do what we're going to do and see if you can beat us. So
right.
I think that's a good game. So that's the end of the Hold'em Fold'em sequence for the NFL games that are on tap for this week. I do have two more Hold'em Fold'em scenarios for you. Both of them revolve around the Chiefs. Okay. The first one is, are you going to hold or fold on the Kansas City Chiefs to make the playoffs in 2026?
Chiefs fans aren't going to be happy with me. I'm going to fold. I just think with Patrick Mahomes' injury and missing the first month and a half, 2 months of the season, is going to be very tough for the Chiefs to overcome. Starting off behind the eight ball, so to speak, in that fashion. I just, they have so much money invested in him that you really cannot go get a fringe starter for other type of programs or teams in the NFL, just because of the money you have tied up in him, and you don't want all that money tied up into two quarterbacks. So I think that'll be their Achilles heel, no pun intended. But I just think that will get them.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it to that degree, but yeah, that quarterback question for the first third of the season, man, there's a lot there to consider. That is not an easy path to navigate. So there's some tough questions. I bet you're glad you resigned the GM job,
yes,
because you don't have to figure that out. So
I'm just looking for that severance package.
Yeah, I think there's a buyout coming, so just hang on. Just hang on. I think this one's pretty straightforward, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. The last Hold'em Fold'em for this show is, you going to hold or fold Andy Reid is the Kansas City Chiefs head coach in 2026.
I'm holding. Yeah, I think he comes back, and I think probably has a little more fire in his belly, so to speak. Not that he didn't have it, but there's going to be that drive to get back to take the team back where they were, get them back in that type of position. And no better person in my mind to be able to do that than Andy Reid. And, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a huge Kansas City fan. I'm more of a Colts fan.
Right.
Sorry, that's by birth, not by choice. And, I just I think he is the type of person that I would want running my football team if I was a general manager or owner in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. He's made winners, Philadelphia and Kansas City, and longevity, right? Like he's stayed those places a long time, and talents come and go, and style of plays kind of ebb and flowed, and he's made adjustments and sort of just finds each of his teams year in and year out find their niche typically. And this year would probably be the exception if we're just being honest. And you're right. Sometimes coaches at all levels, when people sort of count them out a little bit, that lights your fire.
Sure.
And so you're out to prove that hey, you're up for this task. So I'm with you. I think he's back, and whether they can get there next year or not, I think that they start trending upward again, because that's kind of what he does. So, all right. Well, that was good stuff. And I always enjoy that segment with you and try to keep those things creative, but good job tonight on your information and your picks. I think you did well there. So I'm going to sign us off here in just a bit. Again, I'm going to pass out some Christmas greetings to all our people that kind of follow us and keep up with us. This is a weird story, but I had practice the other day. I was driving home, car overheats. So I pull off at the gas station in Springfield. Smoke is just, pouring out of there. I look like a freight train. There's so much smoke coming off my car. I get out of the gas station. There's a guy standing there with a backpack. And this is on Monday. And he said, "Man, that's a bad way to start your week." And I said, "Yeah, it is." But I said, it'll be all right. And, I got a lot to be thankful for. And I said, it could be worse. And he said to me, "Yeah, it could be worse. You could be homeless like I am."
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking for attention. He wasn't looking for, when he said it, he didn't say it to try to get something out of me. He just made the statement, "Yeah, you could be homeless." And I think every day this week I've sort of thought about that comment that he made.
Yeah.
As bad as the day may get, or as hectic as it may get, or whatever, like I've got a lot to be thankful for. And the Christmas time of the year is certainly a good reminder of that. So Merry Christmas to you, Darren, and your family. I've got a lot to be thankful for, and you're a part of that. You're a good friend to me and have been in the best and worst of times. So Merry Christmas to you.
Absolutely. And thank you, and Merry Christmas to you and yours. And to all of our listeners, have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed 2026.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. With that, we will sign off. You have been watching On Deck with DeRo and Arch. We'll see you next time.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.